Hi there, and welcome to the Play Therapy Circle. Before we begin, please note this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not provide therapeutic advice, and listening does not create a client therapist relationship. All views expressed are my own, and any case examples shared have been de identified to protect privacy. If you're seeking personal support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional in your area. Hi, and welcome to an episode of the Play Therapy Circle. I'm Kylie Ellison, a therapist, clinical supervisor, and play therapy trainer, and I'm so grateful you're here. This podcast is a space for thoughtful, soulful conversations about child-centered therapy, play-based work, and what it means to show up with presence and compassion, both for our clients and for ourselves. Whether you're a seasoned play therapist, a student just starting out, or someone deeply passionate about working with children, you belong here. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Play Therapy Circle podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Ellison, and I am so glad you are here. Welcome everyone to episode 19, you guys. Woot woot, we've made it almost to 20. Oh my gosh. How is it? I'm recording this on the 17th of November. How is it November is my question to all of you. How is it the end of November, and how is it that we are almost in Christmas season in December in the Southern Hemisphere? We like to call it Christmas down here, and that is what we will be focusing on next month. So far out, where has this year gone? I hope you all are planning to have a lovely week ahead, because I have just started my week. When you are listening to this though, it'll be the end of the week, so yay. I am doing a topic tonight on self-care. And for those of you who've been listening for a little while, you would know that I'm not a big fan of using that word, and I haven't really found an alternative yet, because I think it can sometimes be used too much or used in a way that's not necessarily relevant for everyone. But I wanted to have a conversation, because I'm all about starting conversations, you guys, about how we look after ourselves as play therapists. So maybe I should change the title of this episode to How Are You Doing? Or How Are You Looking After Yourself? Maybe that's a better episode title. And this episode is the definition of like the opposite of self-care, you guys, because I'm recording this on a Monday night at like 8 p.m. at night. Like truly at the end of a very busy Monday. So yeah, I'm still working on it, which I think is probably not a bad headspace to be in, to have this conversation and to talk about this topic. But before I dive in to our new episode, I just would like to thank everyone for all of your support in listening to our podcast, watching it on YouTube, checking it out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We are so thrilled that we are now in 28 countries. We have listeners in 28 countries, like mind blowing. So if you are outside of Australia, it is so wonderful to have you here in our Play Therapy Circle. We are so grateful for you and for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy this podcast, specializing and talking all things child-centered play therapy, because that's what we're passionate about here in the Play Therapy Circle. So I think in talking about this topic, because you guys would remember last week we talked about the pandemic ripple effect, and certainly my goal of offering an opportunity for conversation starting in that space. So I hope for those of you who've listened to our episode 18 that you found it helpful and useful in your work, because that's always our intention. So this week I want to start the conversation about how are you looking after yourself. And I caveat this by saying that this year for me personally, I don't know how it's happened, and it definitely wasn't intentional. It's just how things have gone, that I haven't taken a break yet this year. And I don't really know why, because normally I usually will organize some sort of trip mid-year, so June, July. But we didn't do that this year. and there wasn't any kind of reason behind that, but it just didn't happen, and life was busy and we just kind of got on with things. And it's now the end of November, and like when I say that the wheels are coming off, the wheels are coming off. Like it's the end of the year and we're tired. That's definitely how I'm feeling. So if you are coming to the end of the year, and I'm recording this towards the end of November 2025, if you are feeling that way too, you are not alone. I know I say that a lot in this podcast, but it's all about connection and community and our play therapy circle, love that we send to everyone. So you are not alone if you are feeling like that, because I am too. Hands up if you are. Any of you watching on YouTube right now will see I look very tired. So maybe don't watch the YouTube version of this. Just listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You don't need to see that. No, it's fine. But it is definitely something that for me, for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I've been like, wait a minute. I don't think I have been as committed to my self-care as I probably should be. So I don't really want to do things like chat to you about, ways to look after yourself and some corny quotes. I really actually want this to be a very honest, congruent, authentic conversation about how are you doing? Because if you are not great, you are not alone. And I don't mean that in the sense that we're not able to show up and serve and work with our families and offer quality service. This is really about how we support ourselves outside of the playroom. What are the ways that we look after ourselves, and how can that certainly slip by the wayside, really? And it very easily can. We all have lives outside of the playroom. We have families, we have partners, we have, extended communities, we have extracurricular activities. You might be engaged in sports or hobbies. Like it just spirals. Yep. And so it's what I'm learning this year and that I'm taking into next year very consciously is an intentionality behind having self-care, which I've never done before, but I'm realizing for a lot of reasons why it's so important. So I think that the first thing that I often speak to supervisees about that comes up in clinical supervision is how they're feeling. And that's very important. That's an important component of clinical supervision is self-care. But I think that we often don't recognize is the wrong word. I think sometimes we don't fully think through and really notice is a better word, what that cumulative effect of holding space for children in the playroom is all about. And that could potentially lean into community expectations that, we often push up against, that, play therapy is just play. And we can forget how deeply attuned we are in the playroom, the level of content that we hold space for, the emotions we hold space for. So what does that mean for us in terms of our work? Our nervous system is constantly working. We're often holding multiple stories of trauma. We need to be that safe, connected, regulated, accepting with unconditional positive regard therapist in the room, right? And that is amazing. And that's why I do every day what I do, because I love it and I'm passionate about it, but it's also heavy. And I think that we often forget, I guess, how that can build up over time and what that can then look like. So some of those ways, and especially for beginning play therapists who are deeply committed to their work, who want to do a great job, who want to work really hard, can often then move into this space of compassion fatigue and burnout. Or constantly feeling like you've got to be on the go, you've got to be ready to do your job, ready to support the kids in the playroom. It may mean that you become a little bit emotionally numb as a kind of opposition to that. And so it becomes this conversation, and this is what I'm learning. And it'll be 11 years next year that I've been a child-centered play therapist. So in almost 11 years, I'm slowly learning that it's not just something that, you might want to do on the weekends. This is actually a professional responsibility, and it's actually critical for practice. And I think that that's something really important to remind ourselves about. So if this is something that is resonating for you, that might not have been something that you've thought about before, I'm really hopeful that this episode will just plant that seed around that reflection. We know from change theory, there is that cycle of change theory, right? And it is something that we really have to be in that space of contemplation and really wanting to move into that place of action before we're going to do anything about it, right? So I know for me, because sometimes I am stubborn, I think that it can be a process where you start to think about it and you start to notice things, and then you start to realize, oh yeah, I actually probably need a break. Like I probably need some time off. So in good news, you guys, I am going away next week, just to go off topic because that's where my neurodivergent brain wants to go, off topic. So I am planning a week away next week, and so there won't be a podcast episode, I don't think, unless I've worked that out wrong, and I'm sure there might be if there is, but if there isn't, I will be away on leave, and I'm so excited. But don't worry, I'm coming back and there will be more episodes, so don't worry. We're still going to drop them as regularly as we can right up until Christmas and then into the new year. But again, even that is kind of that conversation around self-care, that I'm going to have a Christmas break. So I probably will record some extra episodes in advance to make sure I've got kind of a catalogue so I can have a break, because it's actually important and it's really helpful for us as practitioners. So I don't know about you guys, but those of you working in private practice, and I guess I can talk to the Australian, kind of market in that space. Oftentimes, and I can again only talk to my state and my local area, but oftentimes many of the services will be either skeleton staff or will actually close over the Christmas New Year period. So it depends on where our public holidays in Australia fall. So sometimes people might take a couple of weeks, they might take just over a week and a half. We are going to take 3 weeks this year, which is just exceptional. So I can't wait. And I think that it really is that you want to put those systems in place before you experience some of those things like burnout or compassion fatigue. So I want to talk a little bit about those pillars of self-care and sustainable self-care that help us to be able to maintain our work. I think we're all incredibly dedicated and passionate about our work, but that will only take us so far before we start to get a little bit tired and a little bit fatigued. So what are some of the things that we can do from a first pillar of professional self-care that might be really useful? So when it comes to caseloads, knowing your boundaries, like what can you do in a day? So I feel like the standard in Australia varies as well. So I don't want to give like an absolute number, and I never want to do that anyway, because I'm kind of Rogerian to my core in that way. Don't like to give numbers. But I don't recommend doing back-to-back appointments without a lunch break. Hands up anyone who's been doing that. That's me. Yay. Don't do that. So well, actually, you have, freedom of choice. But look, it's one of those situations where if you are constantly doing back-to-back appointments all the time, every day, it's certainly not sustainable. So how can you manage your caseload to be workable and useful for you? And really, everyone's going to have a different kind of threshold, and some people are going to work better in the morning, some people in the afternoons. There's so many variables with this, you guys, but start to think a little bit about it. I think is a good place to start if you work in private practice. Session spacing, so not having back-to-backs. Again, oh my god, I'm the one that's that person that has back-to-backs at the moment. Not ideal. Don't follow me. I think it's about how can you have breaks? How can you have a lunch break? How can we put some of those boundaries in place to help it and make it sustainable for you? Administrative boundaries. So again, making sure that you have things like turning off your work phone at 5 if you are not an on-call after-hours service, having some of those limits in place to make sure that people contact you during business hours, and what your response time looks like, and all of those things. So I have an incredible supervisor who once said to me, if it's any more than 2 lines in an email, it's an appointment. And I love that. I truly, truly love that. So again, I don't have the time to reply to a big long email from a client where it could actually be better suited to book in a parent consult time. So having some of those administrative boundaries in place is a great, great tool. Regular, meaningful supervision. When I say that I absolutely adore and love my supervisor, I'm not even joking. She is incredible, and I have two, actually. Sorry, I have. I have two clinical supervisors, and both of them are incredible women who inspire me and support me and help me every day. So I love that. I don't think it's just about case reviews, but it's connecting with your passion and feeling that support from your clinical supervisor, and really feeling like you have that attunement and connection with your supervisor in that space, obviously holding professional boundaries. But I think it's about feeling like you are seen and heard and resonate with your clinical supervisor. So that is so important, because that support goes such a long way. Knowing when to say no, I guess, to some of those timelines or deadlines with reports, things like that. There's lots of areas where this becomes a challenge that we work to hold boundaries. And I think it's a really delicate balance between wanting to serve our clients and do the best job possible and looking after ourselves at the same time. So it's a very tricky thing to navigate. Pillar number 2 is talking about emotional and nervous system care. So we know that we are on, that we are attuned, we are connected, we are emotionally available in the sessions to our clients to hear and see them. I hear you, I see you, I understand, and I care, as Gary Landreth would say. So what are we doing as play therapists to support our nervous system throughout the day in the playrooms? So a pre-session grounding might be something that you want to do. For me, and everyone's going to be different, you guys. For me, years ago, I had one of my teachers, aka one of my clients, teach me many years ago that it's very important to ground yourself in the playroom, that when you walk in the room, you take your shoes off. So that is like a entry to session ritual, which I love. And it literally grounds me into the room because I'm no longer wearing my shoes, and the client is the same, and I can physically ground to my space. So that might be something you might like to do. There's so many different ways. I have a very fluffy rug, pink rug, always have. Love that about my room. And that is a very grounding tool for me in the playroom, before, during, and after, because I can literally touch it, grab it, sit with the client on the floor, because I'm all about sitting on the ground with my clients to connect with them. And that really does help me a lot in the session. But there are certainly many different ways you can do it. 60 seconds of breathing, a stretch, a moment of stillness, help to center yourself before you go out into the waiting room and collect your client. Post-session processing as well, I really do like to write down notes afterwards. So at least if I can't type my case notes immediately, I've got those notes down on paper. I am a geriatric millennial. This is not a surprise to anyone. You guys have been listening for a while. You would know that. I am definitely of the older generations in my 40s. And I still need to write things down as a way to get things out of my head onto paper. I know that not everyone's like that now. I think, there's technology and stuff that actually helps a lot more people now. But if you need to write stuff down, great. To let that session go, to be able to put it out on paper and be able to reset for the next client. Certainly changing positions during the session as well. I talked about kind of my grounding with my rug. I do find that sometimes that if I kind of move, from cross-legged or, I just kind of move to a different space in the playroom, still supporting the child, that can just help me stay focused and grounded. And I guess kind of talking about with your supervisor, if you are feeling any of that emotional, emotional space that remains after a client leaves, that is really important that you want to process and talk through with your supervisor. A really important part of our practice as play therapists. So I think a dysregulated therapist cannot co-regulate. Good thought. probably something to keep in mind, hey, because I do think that that is something, now that I think about that out loud, that is really important, super, super important. We can't help children in the playroom if we're not regulated ourselves. I don't know about you guys though. I'm going to go off on tangent for a minute, and I don't know if this will resonate for anyone listening, but for me, I think this is why I've been able to go through the year without a break, is that I actually find going into the playroom super connecting and grounding for me. Even though the content can sometimes be really heavy, I actually think the playroom is somewhere that I find I connect certainly with my true purpose, what I'm passionate about, what makes my heart happy, what lights me up. And it's obviously not just about me, but when you do something that you love, there's still that, propensity for compassion fatigue and burnout. But I actually think it's been something that's helped fill my cup. So sometimes if that's how you sort of feel about the process, I just want to say that I feel that too. So how does it feel for you to be in the playroom all day? And does that actually invigorate and energize you? Or is it really kind of wearing you down at the moment and is a bit of a struggle for you right now? So definitely looking after yourself in that space when it comes to your nervous system. I think that really is, your body is always going to tell you, right? At the end of the day, it can only go so far, and then it's going to let you know. So definitely taking notice of some of those physical symptoms along the way, and our nervous system is part of that. So pillar 3, the last pillar, is all about practical real life self-care. So I'm just going to straight up say I'm probs not a good mascot for this. Like truly. Oh my God. And I'm literally recording this episode on a Monday night. Oh my gosh. If any of you guys are listening and you're like, wow, she sounds tired. Yeah, I am. I actually am. But listen, I wouldn't be anything but congruent and authentic if I wasn't keeping it real. So I'm keeping it real for you guys. This is the reality of a year of holding lots of big spaces, big feelings this year. And it absolutely has been incredible for my soul, but at the same time can make you a little tired. So again, if you guys are feeling tired, I see you. Time management that actually works for you, not against you. Oh God. I feel like I'm learning in real time with some of these tips that I found online. So let's keep going and learn together. Wow. Planning admin blocks. Okay. I always try to do this to some extent. Then it usually changes. So are you that person that kind of books it in your calendar thinking on a Monday, yep, this is how my week's going to look, and I'm going to kick some goals. And then by Thursday, it's all been removed and you haven't done any admin. Again, if that's you, you're not alone. And if you've got any ideas, email me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm going to tell you. Creating a workspace that feels regulating may be one of those solutions. So taking breaks, taking time for you. Admin blocks, going back to the admin blocks. I'm bouncing between different topics tonight, you guys. Admin blocks is certainly something that I think is a really good idea. I think that goes hand in hand with how many appointments in a day you have. Because obviously if you're working a certain amount of hours a day and you've got a certain amount of appointments, if you're seeing too many clients, you're not going to have time for the admin. So, which is me. So, oh my goodness, don't do what I do. So if you can put in admin breaks, I think that's a really good idea. I am the kind of person, and I don't know if you listening are the same, but I work much better. My brain works much better in the mornings as opposed to the evenings. So I can smash out some admin at like 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, but I can't do it at like 8:20 at night now when I'm recording a podcast. And I'm trying to record an episode. Holy moly. So what works for you? What time of day works for you? Where can you put those breaks in to be able to do some of that admin work so that you can find that balance? And if you've got too many appointments, what's happening in your schedule here that you might be able to tweak and change so that you can have that admin time? Super important. Creating a workplace and workspace that feels regulating. So we love to have some music in our waiting room that's really calming, and it's often from YouTube, and it's usually we've more recently had like underwater, what's that called, where it's like the vision of turtle swimming underwater, like that kind of thing. I find that so calming. Like I just want to sit out there and just watch it the whole time, and end up just coming and chatting to my clients in the waiting room instead, which is probably a reason why I need to go on holiday. But I love that. It's very calming, very soothing for our clients in the waiting room, which is so, so important that they feel that welcoming space, that calming space. But having that music, we have, what do you call them? Oh my gosh, my words tonight. We have festoon lights in our waiting room, which is so cool as well. So, what are the ways that you have your space organized so that you feel that sense of calm where you can, but truly, truly, truly checking in with your body. I was saying that before when we talk about real life self-care. So are you drinking enough water? Like I'm asking the collective right now. Are you drinking enough water? Because I know I'm not. I'm not. So if you're not, I did go through a really good phase, you guys, where I was, and then I stopped because life got busy. But if you can, drinking water a lot really does help. Eating food. I know it's groundbreaking, but eating food. I'm telling myself right now while I'm telling you guys. I'm going to eat my lunch tomorrow. I swear that's going to happen. And having breaks is really, really important. Recognizing early burnout signs. So being irritable, feeling emotionally flat, exhausted, they can all be indicators that you are needing to look after yourself a little bit more. So I hope some of those suggestions have planted that seed a little bit around how to integrate that into your everyday practice. And I think that one of the things that I have learnt over time is that you can't do it all at once. So implementing just one thing. So literally, you guys, if more play therapists next week drink some water, I'll be happy because I think it's really important. Oh my gosh. And I find that when I get really dehydrated, that's when you start to feel tired, which I'm sure there's some science behind that. I'm sure that's not groundbreaking, but I think that's really an important reminder. So you can do like things where you buy that like water bottles, like have at Kmart here in Australia, where it's got like the different levels for like 2 liters of water. So you can actually drink it in the one day and, cheer yourself on when you're kind of getting to your goal. So there's ways to do it. And I'm talking to myself while I'm saying this, so that we can do this. Okay. So if you're listening and feeling tired like me, hi, I see you. We're all in this together, like I am today. Here are some realistic things that we can do, you guys, and we're all going to commit to this together. Let's all hold hands and agree that we're going to do this after listening to this episode, you guys, fully. So the 60-second restart and even more reset. So having a little minute when you find yourself feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Maybe I should do this now. I'm just kidding. I'm definitely going to make sure I do that tomorrow because I've got a big day planned with appointments. I think if you can take a minute, and I like to do that breathing technique. I don't know if anyone does it, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 8, blow out for 6, I think. Oh, no, wait. If someone knows what it actually is, tell me, because breathe in for, I think it's breathe in for 4. Yeah, hold for 8. Maybe blow out for 8. That mindful breathing technique. If anyone knows it and can tell me, that would be amazing. But in any case, taking a minute to kind of take a breath and ground yourself before your next appointment after you hear this podcast. Please do it. It's absolutely essential. And I do actually find, all jokes aside, I find that very helpful. It does actually work for me. I just can't remember the numbers tonight because I'm tired. Okay, one fun thing each week to do. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like my whole mindset shifted when I realized I'm going on holidays next week. For reals. I know that there's kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. This is not the strategy that I'm suggesting, but I feel like if you know that it's not going to be kind of every week exactly the same like this with no break, when you actually feel like you have things to look forward to in that space that's going to recharge you, I find that helps me a great deal. But certainly one fun thing to do. So something that me and the kids have been doing recently that we really love is Sunday morning going out for breakfast as a family. And I never thought I'd be that person that does that because I'm usually so busy. But I really just decided that connection time with my kids, so putting the phones down, sitting together outside. We love this coffee shop that's right near our house, so we can literally walk. But do we walk? No, we drive. Yep, it's like 800 meters. I don't know what that is in miles, but you guys, it's very tiny drive. So maybe I'll walk next time I do this. But self-care. Start with one thing small. So we go every Sunday. We've been doing that for like a month now. And I love it. I love just spending time with my kids, not being distracted by technology, just sitting with them and having breakfast, outside, connected with our community, because it's our local community that loves to frequent our coffee shop. So it's beautiful. It's great for the soul. So something fun that you can kind of plan each week. A really great idea. Definitely some sort of transition ritual after you finished work. So I love my podcast as well, and not mine specifically. I just need to clarify that. I don't listen to my own podcast when I get in the car. I hope you guys do. That would be amazing. But I really don't like hearing myself back, so I won't listen to my own podcast. But I do love just really kind of tap out of kind of reality sort of podcasts. So who am I listening to at the moment? I'm listening to the Real Housewives of Orange County podcast, 2 T's in a Pod. I don't know if you guys have heard Teddy Mellencamp and Tamara Judge, I think it is. Yep, totally unrelated to play therapy, which is so good. And I just love it because they recap episodes of my favorite show. And I can just switch off from the play therapy head and, enjoy some of that content instead. So what do you have that you can kind of do in the afternoon? Do you go for a walk? Are you that person? Do you exercise? I want to be like that in 2026. Maybe that's my New Year's resolution, that I'm going to walk next year. Oh man, baby steps. I need to do some form of exercise. But what kind of ritual do you have to leave the office at the end of the day? Weekly check-in with yourself. How are you doing? All jokes aside, you guys, because I promise I'm going to get serious for a minute. What I have noticed this year though, and it's been lots of different changes that I've made in my life, for lots of different reasons, that I am certainly taking life at a little bit of a slower pace. I know that contradicts the fact that I haven't had a holiday this year, but I am really noticing if I am finding it hard or just feeling a little bit run down. And so then I will slow things down, I guess, from a work perspective, if I've checked in with myself and I've noticed that I'm probably getting a little bit exhausted. So what can I do more of? What can I do less of? So that is actually something that's really important. And I found in doing that I am coping better. Like I'm not as sick as I used to be, like lots of different reasons why. It's actually really helpful for me to do that. So peer connections, like reaching out to another therapist. Like I have the most amazing network of people that I love to just connect with. And even today has just been so important. And I've absolutely loved connecting with my, circle, my tribe, my people that get me, who support me, who love me, who just help me to feel connected and safe and valued and supported, and all of the things. It just is so good for the soul. It's so good for the heart, and it's so good for the soul to have those connections of other play therapists and your play therapy network, and just your peer networks in general are so important. So they are just some little kind of things to think about and to maybe consider in your practice and your work. As I mentioned earlier, I am finally going on a holiday, and next year have really structured my calendar. Let's be honest, I love to do lots of things, so there's a possibility that will change. Hopefully not. I'm promising myself, and Shaz, my amazing person who organizes my life, that I promise I won't change it. But all jokes aside, holidays next year is going to be something for me, because I know that's what I need to kind of reset. That's what recharges me, refreshes me, gets me back into that headspace so I can do the work that I love and am so passionate about. So really take the time. I really want to encourage you guys. It is so important that we show that same love and care and compassion to ourselves as much as we do to our clients. And I think it can be very easy for us to kind of neglect that and get caught up in just kind of the busyness of life and the busyness of work. But you matter as well. You as a play therapist, you listening to this podcast today, you are important and you matter. And the work that you do means so much. It is absolutely a practice of connecting in a deeply human space. And it's so important that we are looking after ourselves so that we can do that incredible work. So take one small thing from today, from what I've listed in the podcast, and let us know in the comments on the Instagram, because I'm geriatric millennial, you guys, on the Instagram. Tell us what you have been up to. What are you going to do to look after yourself? How are you going to take care of you? And what one thing, let's not make it unachievable, just one thing that you might be able to implement that you've learned from today. We would love to hear from you. If this episode resonated for you, please share it to another therapist or another person in your circle, in your connections that might need to hear this today. And more than anything else, as I always say every episode, please take care of you, be kind to each other, and be kind to yourselves. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I have no idea how this is going to sound playing back because I just feel like I've sounded like I've been so tired today. But that's the whole point of this self-care episode, because I'm hoping to have this, so maybe one day I'll listen back to it and be like, oh my God, I'm so like on top of my self-care now. I don't even know that person. That's the dream, right? But listen, it's a constant sort of juggle, and it's a constant battle between us wanting to be there and be incredible for our clients and our families and do the work that, lights up our hearts, but it's also about taking care of us too. So thank you so much for listening. It is tipping over to 35 minutes, so it's time for me to go and take care of me, along with looking after all of you. So thank you so much for listening. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your good podcast. We're on YouTube, so if you guys want to see how tired I look in this video, head over to YouTube. How exciting. Don't head over to YouTube. That sounds like a bad idea. I definitely need to freshen up. But like I said, I'm going away next week. So I'm really not sure if we'll have an episode next week or not. For anyone who isn't wondering, I'm heading off overseas, which is even better. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So I may just post. So follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I might share my adventures next week of how I've played and had some recharge and some downtime over my week's holiday next week. And then I will be back, because then it's going to be December, you guys. And when I tell you I love Christmas, I am obsessed. So there's going to be lots of Christmas content. I don't know how we'll weave that into play therapy, but we will. And so I would love to take you on that journey of the month of December and all the things that we're up to. But in the meantime, follow us on socials, follow us on your podcast channels, including Spotify and Apple Podcast. And please, 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 as I always say at the end of every episode, look after yourself, look after each other, and be kind to you, because you matter. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Play Therapy Circle. If anything resonated with you today, I'd love it if you could follow the podcast, share it with a colleague, or leave a short review. It really helps others find our circle. And if you have a topic or question you'd love me to explore, I'd love to hear from you. This space is for you, and I want it to feel like a conversation. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, you belong here.